My name is Diane Scott, and I'm a former healthcare administrator and now work as a healthcare leadership coach to organizations around the globe. During the past year, my non-healthcare clients were staying at home, binge-watching Netflix and making sourdough bread. For my healthcare leaders, it was quite a different scenario. Since February of 2020, you've had a constant stream of a unique stress that some are equating to post-traumatic stress disorder, except it's not quite post yet. Now, while stress is a normal and usual occurrence for healthcare leaders, this time it was different. It was personal in being that you put yourself and your family at risk for exposure. While some of your senior leaders during the pandemic were pushing a back to normal scenario, you were closing departments due to COVID exposure and staffing, also figuring out lost revenue and constantly reevaluating what, quote, worst case scenarios may look like. Here's the problem with COVID burnout. It can and may have already led to depression or alcohol or substance abuse, and may have or are currently going to have significant health side effects as well. So if you have COVID burnout, you need to deal with it. This video is dedicated to you, the healthcare leader. But a full disclosure, this message doesn't take the place of often needed therapy. If you're experiencing any signs of COVID burnout or depression, I highly recommend that you seek counseling and therapy that's either available inside or outside your organization. Today, as a service to you, though, I'm going to talk about understanding COVID burnout, how to catch the early signs if you're experiencing, and how you can address it for yourself. Feel free to pass this along to other employees and colleagues. The earliest sign of COVID burnout is exhaustion. In the past, when speaking to clients on a Friday, they often talked about being tired just as the week is finally wrapping up. Those same comments I'm getting on far earlier in the week on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. People are tired. The second sign is when you start to feel a bit more cynical about work or distancing from other people. You're struggling to get anything done and your productivity often is suffering. Finally, the third component is self-doubt. You may be asking yourself, why can't I handle like I used to? You may be telling yourself that you can push through it, but this time it's different. It's harder. So now what do you do with this? Well, the first step is really to catch the early warning signs. Daily do a self-inventory and ask yourself, how's my energy level on a scale from 1 to 10? First, notice and keep track, and maybe perhaps ask other people closest to you to share observations of how they view that you're doing. The second step comes from Jessica Price-Jones, author and facilitator and founder of Website. She describes a method of proactive coaching that sets you up to expect and prepare for life's challenges. Jessica teaches her clients to, quote, balance your books. Take a look at your schedule and activities that you participated in last week. Separate them into 2 columns, those that were deposits, or ones that gave you energy, things you really enjoyed. The second column are the meetings or activities that, quote, withdrew or took your energy. You may even want to assign them with ratings or stars to see how much they boosted you or how much they drain you. Now proactively take a look at next week. Is your week balanced between deposits and withdrawals? And then ask yourself, what activities do I need to increase and which others do I need to decrease? The majority of my leaders state that burnout truly comes from a lack of time. Time to think, time to develop, time to relationship build because their schedule really seems out of control with meetings and commitments. So let's talk about meetings. COVID changed the way we conduct meetings forever. Some of the most valuable innovations in brainstorming used to take place in hallway conversations or in parking lots. COVID all but eliminated those times and really forced more meetings into schedules because you did not have the time to see each other in a more informal setting. Now, however, some people have switched from 60-minute meetings to 30-minute meetings or even 15-minute meetings, thinking it would be more productive. But what it has actually led to is more meetings. And let's not forget the double-edged sword of Zoom. Remember that studies have warned us of the dangers of too much screen time? Have you ever noticed your energy level after 8 hours of Zoom calls? So let's start to rethink meetings. What are we going to do with these meetings? Step 1 is to think, not everything requires a meeting. A 5-minute phone call can often do the trick. If you have a good relationship with someone, cash those checks and pick up a phone or text them. The decision to have a meeting or not should be really actually based on what you're trying to accomplish. Eliminate status reporting or information sharing. There's really no need in most cases that information can be sent in other means. Limit your meeting to important stakeholders and ask yourself if you're an important stakeholder as well when you're trying to attend. Meetings for feedbacks can be given during a status report or dashboard sharing, etc. in other ways other than meetings. Third is really avoid the PowerPoint presentation. Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos banned bullet points and PowerPoints at all presentations because it somehow gave permission to gloss over ideas and ignore the interconnectivity of ideas. Instead, he presents a one-page document given at the beginning of meetings while attendees sit in silence and read it. A fourth and very interesting, although not that innovative idea, is that meetings should end 10 minutes early. And think about that 10 minutes and how you would use it wisely. Is that the time to text somebody? Because everybody knows they're going to be done at 8:50 or 9:50. What if those 10 minutes can accomplish if you had them back? One of the most powerful tools to proactively combat COVID burnout actually has its roots in something called the Zeigarnik effect. Named after psychologist Dr. Bluma Zeigarnik, the Zeigarnik effect is actually the ability of our brains to remember unfinished tasks and goals. Your brain is kind of left in an uncomfortable position and creates a goal tension. This explains why thinking about unfinished work will keep you up at night or make it difficult to sleep. So why is this a problem for healthcare leaders? Well, our work is never done. Departments in healthcare often don't close at night. Think of emergency rooms or plant maintenance or acute care. Jessica Price Jones also describes a plan to proactively leave work at work. First, consider building a ritual into your day or processes to make your work feel more complete. Is it making a list, putting things on a calendar for next steps, or making steps in the process to the goal, not the end state? It actually gives you a sense of control. And look at your boundaries. What is work allowed to occupy outside of business hours? What gives permission for you to think about? If you catch yourself thinking about work, give yourself 45 seconds to think about it and then make a decision to consciously stop thinking about work. Summarizing our COVID burnout strategy, well, the first steps is to recognize those symptoms. Notice if you're exhausted, if you start to be cynical or have self-doubt. Do a daily check-in on that energy level and really assess those energy banks. What activities are depositing energy for you and conversely withdrawing energy for you? Is my bank balanced? And proactively start taking control of your energy bank and especially control meetings, both your attendance at meetings and meetings that you require people to attend. Perhaps most importantly is leaving work at work. It's been an honor to work with the thousands of healthcare leaders that I have worked with over the past 15 years. Here's my contact information and Jessica Price Jones' contact information. If you need anything, feel free to reach out. Thank you.